Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Against All Odds. And as I say at the beginning of every podcast, this is purely a selfish reason why I record this podcast, because I get to speak to inspirational people. And today I'm so excited to be joined by Gary Lane. How are you, my lovely?
Absolutely amazing. Thank you, my mate.
We've been trying to plan this podcast for a while, haven't we?
We have, yeah. Like you love an evening and I hate them.
That pretty much sums it up.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
So tell people in a nutshell what you do for people. That's a really hard question because you do so much.
So I guess I make something that is incredibly overwhelming feel a lot smaller and a lot safer.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, that's it. Because you help so many people, don't you, kind of regain life and focus and calmness as well.
Yeah, for me, like, and this, you know this, like, but this is a new thing for me, this, like, this whole safety thing in the body. You know, I've been a therapist a long time, but this part is very new. Like, this is like 5 years.
Right, okay.
So
what kind of made you go down that path with you
You
being
know what?
anyway?
It was working in fostering and adoption, and this type of integrative therapy just kept coming up. It's like working with, you know, arguably people that have not that it's measurable, but like people that have suffered the most amount of significant trauma, like arguably is in fostering and adoption.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. And this type of healing, like the modality just kept coming up and coming up. And I guess personally, what sparked me was that personally and professionally, I was really stuck.
Right.
Again, like trauma related, I guess, because of my own experience of school and trauma, I have gone way over and above like the amount of training. Do you know, like I'm probably, you know, I am so qualified, it's unbelievable. Do you know, like I've spent over 10, 12 years training. And as part of that training, there is like the type of training that I do, because it's because of the nature of it, there is a prerequisite that you have to undergo your own personal therapy. So I had like 7 years of personal therapy while I was going through like university level training on trauma and psychotherapy. And I just felt stuck. I knew that there was something left in my own personal journey, something that just kept coming up, and I just kept repeating old patterns.
Yeah.
But unaware, like no amount of talking about it was going to shift it.
Yeah.
And by that time, I'd been practicing as a therapist for like 6, 7 years. And for my longer term clients, I found that in my clients as well, like they were stuck. And there was an element of frustration there. And I thought, well, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. And I went and spent the weekend in London doing like a 2-day like introductory course, and it was like a game changer. It was like, wow, this is it. So like, yeah, obviously, like as I do, like I went and like signed up for a 3-year training. And not only did it change my life, it's changed hundreds of people that I've worked with.
Yeah.
Literally, if you can, most people, if you could get them to articulate where their challenges come from, it comes out of fear,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fear of something, whatever that is, and like whether they're aware of it or not, there is an unconscious process where their world just shrinks and then becomes really overwhelming.
Yes. Yeah.
And if
I
you could
suppose
get
that's
someone,
I suppose that's the thing with fear, isn't it? Like it does make your world smaller and smaller and
yeah,
smaller. Fear grows massively.
yeah.
Yeah.
People go like, I had a client in here earlier on this evening, and professionally he's achieved like, you know, unbelievable like levels. Personally, like the thing that he is most scared of, I'm not going to say what it is, but like it's, people would look and go, look what he's achieved in his life. Do you know what I mean? Compared to like where his irrational fears are. The
Yeah.
fear is in his body. We can sit here and talk about it till the cows come home, but he will not even move anywhere near it. And people talk about their comfort zone, but what happens with that is, yourself, it just shrinks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not moving forward, you're not staying still. You can't stay still. You regress and your world just becomes smaller. So then everything then becomes more overwhelming.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's hard for people. Do you find it hard for people to one either admit their fears or even know what their fears are?
Yeah, both. Like,
Okay.
I think, you know, this is very common. Like, I don't want to typecast, but like, it's pretty gender specific. Like, if you speak to men and you start to, like, especially around, anything outside of that male kind of centric ego thing,
Yeah.
even encouraging someone to set a timer on their phone for 3 times a day for a minute a day, right? So I want 3 minutes out of your day. That's all I want, right?
Yeah.
You to prioritize 3 minutes out of your day, sit there for a minute at a time and just breathe. That's
Nice. I
it.
love.
That's it. And the fear on some people's faces, like, I can't do that. I'm like, I'm asking you to fucking breathe for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not asking you to bungee jump or jump out of a plane without a parachute or anything. I'm asking you to sit there for a minute and just breathe with no distraction, no phone, no nothing. Just sit and just breathe. Breathe like as long as your out breath is longer than your in breath. That's all I care about. I don't care how you do it. Go on the internet. There's like hundreds of thousands of different breathing techniques. As long as the out breath is longer than the in breath, because then that will start to slow your heart rate down.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
all I want you to do.
Yeah.
And like, and instantly you get that kind of implicit, didn't you, reaction? I can't do that. I
Yeah.
ain't got time for that. I'm like, it's 3 fucking minutes, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can't do 3, just do 1.
Yeah.
And like it's that implicit reactional like resistance, isn't it? Fear. No.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I suppose I mean, our brain's job is that designed to keep us safe, but it can
Absolutely.
also be your worst enemy.
Absolutely.
Yes, if you're not careful. Like there's a very, very fine line. And fear is, well, like you say, it overwhelms people, it holds
Yeah.
people back. But physically, it has massive consequences, doesn't it? Like with central nervous system, like your breathing, your heart rate. And I believe a lot of people are running around at the moment stressed and not even realizing they're stressed.
Me. I was like that. I was like
Yeah.
that for like 50 odd years.
Yeah.
People say like, it's a great you know, you can be really productive. Absolutely. But this is a new concept that I'm kind of working on. So like, you're going to have to bear with me a little bit here. Think about, Paul talks about fear as disordered, anxiety is disordered fear. Okay.
Yeah.
So think about disordered fear in our nervous systems, in our body. It's a physiological thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you think about anxiety from an evolutionary point of view, it's there to keep us alive, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a physiological reaction, isn't it, to our environment?
Yes.
Like to prepare us, like our nervous system gets triggered, activated. There's an element of fear in our systems, healthy fear that stops us walking out of our cave and getting eaten by a fucking saber-toothed tiger. It's the bit that goes, oh, hang on a minute. So then like your heart rate increases, your blood pressure increases, your stomach starts to shut down a little bit, and then all your senses come on, don't they? Like you're really like hypersensitive to your environment. So you're paying attention to everything that's going on around you. Funnily enough, quite like ADHD.
Right. Okay.
We can get on to that again, like
Yeah.
if you want. But you're hypersensitive to your environment, aren't you?
Yes.
To keep you alive. So my kind of concept to make this to make it even simpler for people to understand. So there's your smoke alarm. It's your body's smoke alarm, isn't it? Smoke
Yeah.
detector.
Yeah.
Smoke detector goes off. You're paying attention to it, and you're like, right, have I burnt the toast or is the kitchen on fire? Two things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the toaster? Is it the? Have I burnt the toast, or has somebody burnt the toast? Okay, so let's do a risk assessment, which is, as you know, it's part of the brainstem, isn't it? Like social,
Yeah.
like it's the risk assessment that social, what's it called? Social engagement. It's the social engagement part of the brainstem, isn't it? Which is a risk assessment. Okay, so like, am I safe? Yeah, you're safe. So all you've done is just burnt the toast. So, but you're paying attention to it. But when it becomes disordered, we either then start ringing the fire brigade when the smoke alarm goes off because the toast is burning, or we totally ignore it and take the battery out.
Yeah.
So we totally ignore our physiological signals that are getting sent to our brain.
Yeah.
Totally ignore them. So we become disconnected from our bodies, don't we?
Yes. Absolutely.
So therefore, the smoke alarm's going off. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing. The fucking kitchen's on fire. Pay attention to this, but we don't pay attention to our bodies, do we? We just keep going and we keep going and we keep going because we're stuck in fight or flight.
Yeah.
So cortisol, adrenaline, everything's like out of whack, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like we start to become like inflammation in the body. You know, all the wrong signals from the gut are being sent to the brain. We're overreacting to everything. Amygdala's going off like a lunatic. Do you know what I mean? And then all that's going on is the toast is fucking been burnt.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or we pull the alarm out, or we pull the smoke alarm out because
Yeah.
we get so, because it's so uncomfortable. Our brains don't like, as you said, the brains don't like the discomfort. So we just disconnect the battery.
Yeah.
We started ignoring. And that's when the dis-ease in our systems starts to become the disease in our systems. So
Yeah.
then we start to notice it when we get physiological symptoms, gut health, you know, physical health, arthritis, whatever it is. The amount of clients that I'm getting through lately that have got physical ailments,
Yeah.
physical pain in their bodies. We start to regulate and introduce some safety into their systems, and then the pain goes.
Yeah.
Like there's a shift in the system, isn't there? The
Yeah.
energy in the system. So my thing is, how do we start paying more attention to the smoke alarm? So if you've taken the battery out, you need to start to re-engage with the body, don't you? So like that sitting down minute at a time, just notice what's going on in the system. Potentially there'll be an element of resistance in your system, body, like resisting to it. The brain
Yeah,
going, no, fuck this. We need to get up. We need to put the kettle on. We need to fucking move. We need to do something.
yeah.
Just notice in your body where the resistance is. Like,
Yeah,
and just be okay with it. Just tell you, if you have to say to yourself, like, I am noticing some fear in my body, but I'm okay. I'm safe. I know I'm okay. Like, I'm looking around. There's nothing in this room that's going to attack me. There's a couple of cuddly toys up there, but then they're not going to eat me. One needs a dinosaur, funnily enough, but I'm all right. Like, yeah, it's looking at me. I'm all right. Yeah.
yeah.
So then you start to notice, okay, so your smoke alarm starts coming back online. Or so that's that side, or the other side is then start paying attention to it.
Yeah,
So like, okay, so what does my body need? Like, this is the journal question, isn't it? Out of a scale of 1 to 10, where am I at today?
yeah,
What's going on for me? Do I need to up it a bit, or what I've got, do I need to preserve it? Because if I keep going and going and going and going, my body is like the smoke alarm's going off, it's going off, the kitchen's on fire. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Okay, what do I need? What do I need to do? So maybe I need to slow down a little bit. Maybe I need to go for a walk. Maybe I need to prioritize my sleep. Maybe I need to eat better. Then you can start working on the mindset thing, can't you?
yeah,
What am I paying attention to?
yeah. Is it rational?
Yeah. Is it
Yeah,
disordered, or is it like, is it, again, just a simple question. Is the fucking kitchen on fire, or have I just burnt the toast?
yeah, yeah,
Do you know, if it's going off just because you burnt the toast, tell yourself you're safe, you're fine.
yeah. I'm glad you mentioned about like physical problems, because I mention this on every podcast. Like, we see an illness skyrocketing,
Yeah.
like not just one like disease or illness, they're all on the up. And that screams alarm bells that we are living very far from what we're supposed to be living.
Yeah.
Mental health's on the up. You see like addictions on the up and things like that, and it's like we can't manage ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But most illnesses are caused by high cortisol
Yeah.
and fight, flight, and freeze mode.
It is. So, like, I know this is a play on words. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's dis-ease in the body, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's dis-ease. There's inflammation in the system. It's at dis-ease with itself, which turns into then disease.
yes,
Like
yeah,
Eastern medicine will prioritize work with the dis-ease.
yes.
Western medicine waits till you're sick and then gives you a fucking pill for it.
Do you know what? You are so right. You are so right. We cope with it. We don't cope with it very well, and we deal with it in the worst way possible compared to other areas of the world.
Yeah. Well, the whole medical model is in Western world is set up, isn't it, financially to get you ill. So
Yeah,
they
it is.
give you a pill.
I mean, it really is. I mean, because we talk about stress. So when I talk about stress, it's like anxiety. It could be anger, feeling fed up and flat and unmotivated, and things like that. It's like lots of kind of emotions increase cortisol. But this world, this country does not support good mental health
No,
or good physical health.
no.
It's shocking.
Mm.
And
Well, it's
it's
never been easier to feed yourself, has it? Do you know what I mean?
well,
Like, you
exactly.
don't even have to fucking get off the sofa, do you?
No, no. You can even do your shopping. You don't even have to go to town anymore. You can do your shopping. Like, we don't even need to look at a map anymore. We've got a sat nav. We don't even need to go and meet up with friends now, because we've got FaceTime and,
Yeah.
like voice notes and things like that. And like you say, illness, here's a tablet.
Yeah.
When in reality, there's the alternative way is so bloody simple,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's boring though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But it is though, isn't it? Because like again, it's like everything's geared towards instant access. Do you know,
Yes.
like that this whole kind of ADHD kind of um pandemic or whatever the word is that you want to use.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know, like lack of dopamine, like too overly stimulated, like our senses are all over the place. Attention deficit is not attention deficit, it's too much attention to too many things. That is an overstimulated nervous system, isn't it?
yeah,
Like where the
yeah,
senses paying attention to loads of different things.
yeah,
Your alarm bells are going off all over the place. And then hyperactivity is like too much cortisol and adrenaline in your system.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So it all boils down to your brain chemicals.
Yeah,
And that, like we talk about dopamine, we've seen massive spikes in Parkinson's now, which is
yeah,
a dopamine
yeah,
problem. Like
yeah.
it's a dopamine deficit.
Because we're so
And
overly stimulated, so we get access to so much dopamine all the time, instant
yeah,
access, that we need to just keep raising the level, don't we? Before
yeah,
we
yeah,
like shiny object syndrome. Do you know what I mean? Whereas things in the past would have been, we would have received ample amounts of dopamine, like simple things like
yeah. Natural
getting
dopamine.
outside in nature and like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff like that. Now, like, you know, like it's just overload, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
From like, from like, you know, 3, 6, 9, 12 months old.
yeah,
Like, you know, having a bottle put, you know, wedged up on a pillow with an iPad.
yeah.
Like,
It's
our
absolutely
brains are not geared up for that as adults, let alone as a child.
no, absolutely shocking. It really is. And it is about getting that natural dopamine. So like I
Yeah,
said, when you're outside, when you've like I know you do a lot of running as well, so you're getting natural dopamine. We've got that much fake dopamine floating around in our brains that it's
yeah,
scary.
yeah.
It really, really is. And
It's
it
mad.
affects every gender and all ages.
Yeah, it does. And it's like coming back to your point, like, do you know, like, it's almost as if, like, I've got a mate of mine and he's really high up in the NHS. And he sits on these government quango boards. Do you know what I mean? No government or anyone in power or anyone in politics or anyone like in these organizations has any idea of how to kind of regulate or how to support people's ill mental health, because it's just exploded, isn't it?
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
don't know what to do with it.
No, no, the waiting lists are massive.
Yeah,
You know, it's just shocking. I believe it's the biggest crime against humanity,
yeah,
the modern world.
yeah, yeah. It is.
Absolutely, because it doesn't need to be like this, and we don't need to suffer mentally or physically. So I love the work that you do, because you work like on the mindset, but you also work physically with that central nervous system.
Yeah.
Mate, I love the work that you do.
It's like, thank you. But it's like it has to, you can't work with a mindset until you've regulated your nervous system.
Yeah,
And it's, you know, and it's so like when I'm like, why is this not, why are we not educated about this in schools?
I
Like, why are
completely,
children from a very early age not educated around how to regulate themselves?
yeah,
Like
complete.
I'm seeing like 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids being sent here by their parents. Do you know what I mean? And just drop them off at the door and then come back and go, like, you know, it's a regulation problem. That's it. Like it's a regulation. How do I, you know, like how do I deal with this? How do I deal with that? How do I deal with that? And it's every answer is the same. I like just get like just regulate, 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 regulate. Doesn't matter what the issue is. Just learn to regulate your nervous system.
Yeah,
Learn to breathe. That's it.
yeah.
And be
So,
very, very mindful about what you're focused on.
so if you've been in flight or freeze, like for a while, let's say, well, I mean, some people are in it for years. I think
I
I
was in
was.
it for 50 years.
Yeah, yeah. How? It's not going to be a quick fix, is it?
No, it's not.
Because all of a sudden your
Fortunately.
central nervous system's probably a bit like your brain going, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But that's my point. When I encourage somebody to sit in a chair for a minute, that's their brain going, "Oh no, can't do that. That's too uncomfortable." Brain's going, "No, no, 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 can't do that." So you have to override it. You have to override your mind and go like, "Okay, so just do it. Just sit there
Yeah,
and just see what happens." Like at the end of the day, that's all I'm asking you to do is sit there and breathe. I'm not like from it. You need to come back into your rational brain, don't you? Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like I'm not asking you to jump out of an aeroplane with no parachute.
yeah,
I'm asking you to sit in a chair for a minute.
yeah. You said, which I've always wanted to know why, that your exhale has to be longer than your inhale. Why is that?
Because it slows your heart rate down. So it accesses the parasympathetic part of your nervous system, which slows your heart rate down.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
So that's the bit that you want to like. The parasympathetic, like the sympathetic, is activation, and it's the gas pedal. It's the accelerator. It's
Right.
energy, isn't it? Like it's to get you up and get you moving.
Yeah.
Whereas the parasympathetic is the rest and digest.
Mm-hmm.
You eat a big meal, like we're out living like, in the wild. We have a big, we eat a big meal. So our systems slow right down to digest and rest after we've eaten.
Right, okay.
That's the bit you want to access. That's the safety.
Okay.
So that's why the out breath needs to be longer than the in breath.
Right.
Because you want to slow the heart rate down.
Yeah.
Because when
Interesting.
you're activated, your heart rate increases, doesn't it?
You said about gut issues as
Yeah,
well, which everybody's got IBS at the
yeah,
minute.
yeah,
That IBS medication over the counter is one of the biggest things sold now.
yeah, yeah.
So tell me about what happens in your gut when your central
Okay.
nervous system.
So when our threat response is triggered, so you have to look at this through a lens of like 5,000-10,000 years ago, like to understand it. So our threat response was triggered. Our autonomic nervous system, it has one role and one role only, and that is to keep us alive. That's it, period. It doesn't have
Right.
any other role. So we were designed, through kind of, um, what's the word? Evolution.
Yeah. Oh, you froze. Hello, you're back. Hello. Oh, there you are. Right, you froze there.
Right. What
We'll
did you,
start that
what did you get
again.
up to?
We got to a bit about the gut with the evolution.
Okay, so through evolution, so our autonomic nervous systems, its only role is to keep us alive.
Yeah.
So when a threat response was triggered, yeah, I keep forgetting where I am. So therefore, when our threat response is triggered, our bodies are ready for action.
Right.
So what happens is to preserve energy,
Yeah.
so our heart rate increases,
Yeah.
blood pressure increases, our senses become hyper, we become hyper aroused to our environment, but our guts
Yeah.
start to shut down because
Oh,
we don't from an energy source perspective. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't need to use energy digesting food when we could be using that to run away or fight.
so it's like a survival mode then.
It is a survival mode, yeah.
Okay.
So the reason people that are stuck in fight or flight have gut issues is because of the threat response. Do you know? So their stomach, like, generally when you can tell this when you start to feel safe in your body, you will generally start to your stomach comes back online. So you will start to experience like tummy rumblings or gurgling in your tummy and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like that's the reason why people have poor gut issues like IBS or Crohn's disease or things like that. It's like you will generally find that like they have a lot of fear in their system, a lot
Yeah.
of anxiety.
Right. Okay. Interesting enough, yes, I put myself in that place. So I'd had quite a few stressful years, and I ended up with colitis,
Yeah,
which at that time they wanted to put me on steroids, and I said no.
yeah,
So the last few years, I've been calming my central nervous system,
yeah,
and I'm pretty much back to normal now.
yeah,
Yeah, massively.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you can increase your capacity for fear,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? So therefore, if you're increasing your capacity for fear, you are feeling safer in your body.
yes, yeah,
So the safer you are feeling, the more regulated you are. You're in that homeostasis, aren't you? So our nervous systems over the course of a day should be doing that.
yes,
So like at the moment, we're sat down. So we'd be quite low. If you was to get up and make a cup of tea, the sympathetic part of your nervous system will put energy into your system to get you up to move.
yes,
So your heart rate would increase, your blood pressure would increase, pump blood around your body quicker, and you would move.
yes,
You sit back down, the parasympathetic, rest and digest, so then your system settles. So you're supposed to move in and out, in and out, in and out. What happens is you get stuck.
right,
You get stuck in fight or flight. So you've got that constant cortisol, that constant adrenaline, but also what you're doing is your stomach starts to shut down. It doesn't digest food properly.
yeah, 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 yeah. I can see where it's all linked.
Yeah.
Is that why you talk about the comfort zone being a bad place? Because you obviously you need, like you said, you need to grow your
Yeah,
fear.
it's like we need to become more comfortable feeling uncomfortable. So we need to push the edge of, if you think about, so what happens is, we spoke earlier on and we said that like if that's our comfort zone, it shrinks. So it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So then our threat response gets triggered a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So it's where the little things become big.
Yes,
So, like, you struggle to read people's body language. You struggle to like understand their tone of voice. So you take things out of context because you
yes,
don't feel safe.
yes,
You become very reactive because you don't feel safe. If you're reactive, you're being defensive.
yes, yeah,
Um, you have less tolerance to deal with external stressors. That might be knocking a pint of milk over. Do you know what I mean? When you've
yeah,
got very little capacity, you'll lose your shit over knocking a pint of milk over.
yeah,
Whereas when you have more capacity, you'll just, oh yeah, look what I've done. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So the only way to increase your capacity is to work on the edge of resistance. So look, if you think about fear, resistance as in the edge of the fear. So you just keep pushing the edge of it. So you
yeah,
become more. So this is something that people need to understand. The most basic what's the word? The most basic way to identify what trauma is anything that your nervous system perceives as too much, too soon, or too quick.
Oh, right, okay.
It's that simple.
Right, okay.
Too much, too soon, or too quick. Perceived.
Right.
For your nervous system.
Right.
So the reason most people, like, if you take something like New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason most people fail, I mean, all right, you've got planning and stuff involved, but most of it is because it's overwhelming. It's too
Yes.
much, too soon, or too quick. People try to radically change their lives, don't they, on January the 1st?
Yeah.
So what happens is, after a very short amount of time, generally, it's too much for their system.
Yes.
So therefore, so what happens is they become overwhelmed and they just shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's a very basic way of explaining it. But so we have to. It's called to titrate. So it is like one drop at a time. So if you've got a test, I don't know, remember when you was at school, if you've got a test tube of acid,
Yeah.
they would tip a test tube of alkali into it and it would blow up.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what they do is they get the same test tube of acid and then they get a pipette and they drop the alkaline one drop at a time into the acid until they get all of the alkaline into the acid with no chemical reaction.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do to your nervous system.
It's like that saying, tiny steps, big leaps.
That's it. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
Because if you take too much of a big step, it overwhelms. Too much, too soon, too quick.
Yeah.
So just keep dripping it in, dripping it in, dripping it in, dripping it in, dripping it in. So therefore, you're constantly working on that edge of discomfort. So
I like
that is, it expands your capacity.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
So
I like
therefore, you can experience more stressors, more fear in your system without it overwhelming you, without you knowing, oh, okay, smoke alarm's going off. What am I paying attention to here?
Yes.
I feel a lot of fear or a lot of anxiety in my chest. What is that about?
Yeah.
So then you're able to, okay, so maybe I'm overdoing it a little bit. I need to pay attention to this. I need to go for a walk, or I need to do this, or I need to prioritize my sleep, or I need to do this, or whatever.
Yeah. Do you get people to become, because you said about like your body and your mind will set, it's like an alarm clock. Like if something's going wrong, mind or body, it's alarm clock.
Yeah.
But people have ignored that for that long that they're not even aware of it. So how do you get somebody that's been that unaware to even start paying attention? Because that's going to be really alien to somebody.
So the sitting in the chair thing.
Yeah.
And noticing your body. Can you put your hand over your heart and listen to your heartbeat?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I didn't even know that I had a heart. My 2 ex-wives would have said I probably didn't even have one. But I couldn't feel my heartbeat. I was that disconnected. So feeling your heartbeat like this, feeling the sensation on your skin.
Right, yeah.
You can do simple exercises like this. Touch your hand. And can you notice the difference between the sensation on your finger and the sensation on the palm of your hand?
Yeah.
Can you feel the difference between the finger and the hand?
Yeah, yeah.
Now swap over and see the difference.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Simple exercises like that. Going into nature and just use your senses.
Yes.
What can you see? What can you hear? What can you smell? Can you feel the breeze on your skin?
Yes.
Yoga,
Yes.
anything really where you have to slow down, or you're
Yes.
becoming more present and mindful. But basically, what you're trying to do is to become more mindful.
Yes.
So
I
you're
think
coming out of
everybody needs to
autopilot
be.
and
Yeah.
paying attention,
Yeah.
paying
I
more
think
attention.
I think as well, it's we live in a world that is constantly hustling. Everybody's
Yeah,
busy.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So do you find that if you're telling people one about the breathing or one to go out in nature or do
Get
yoga,
that.
where have I got time?
Yeah, I
Like,
get
you know what
that.
I
That's
mean? To
what I
get
get off
out
them
and
like
go,
that. Like, no, I
yeah,
can't do that.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay, so how's that working for you?
yes,
Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest about this. Like, you've come to me, right? Because you know that you've got an issue. You've got a challenge at the moment. You're overwhelmed, aren't you? So how's that working for you?
yeah,
And just let it drop.
yeah,
Like, it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, what are you willing to do?
yeah,
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, what are you willing to do? I don't want radical changes in your life. What I want you to do is to sit in that chair and just breathe for a minute.
yeah,
What I want you to do is I want you to sit down for 5 minutes and think about a time when you felt really calm and really safe. That could be on holiday, like you were sat by the pool or by the sea. Now tell me what you could see, what you could smell, what you could hear.
yeah,
Within a minute, you will notice a change in your nervous system.
yeah.
I did like last week. This was a bit of a flex. I delivered a talk to senior level management from Microsoft
Oh wow,
on this.
yeah,
They weren't supposed to be there, but they turned up. Like it was indirect. Um, And that was what I said to him. I was like, okay, so like we're just going to do like a little bit of an exercise, and I was talking about anxiety, and I was like, I can feel a lot of anxiety in my chest right now, and I said it's not because, and I said I know that I'm safe. I said, but I've got you fuckers sat in front of me. I said, so understandably, like, do you know what I mean? Like that is a healthy like fear
yeah,
because I want to get this right.
yeah,
I said, but like let's go to a place where you felt safe and relaxed. Every single person in the room, you could see him smiling within a couple of minutes.
yeah,
And I went, that's took you 2 minutes to do that. So
yeah,
notice what that feels like physically. This is a physiological thing. How do you know you feel safe? Most people that come to me are world class at telling me what anxiety feels like, what fear
yeah.
feels like. World class. They could tell me like for hours. How do you know when you feel safe? Well, I'm calm. Like, well, how do you know that? What are you experiencing? Well,
Yeah.
I'm just calm and I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't know at all. Tell me, describe it to me in words. And they don't have a language for it. So you have to teach
Oh,
them a language.
odd,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So you have to teach them a language so that you're almost rewiring their nervous system. You know better than anyone about rewiring the neurons in the brain. And nervous system is
Yeah,
exactly the same. You have to rewire the neurons in their nervous system for safety.
yeah,
So you have to use words like softening. There's a softening in the muscle tissue,
yes,
in my breath. I can feel sensations like heat. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Things like that.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
yeah, go on.
You spoke about ADHD earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this works for people with ADHD as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is ADHD?
Do you find that people cling to that label though, so that can't possibly work?
Can do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
specialise in working with men with ADHD. So,
right.
um, okay. So I worked in a PRU for like 12 years, working, that it's a it's an education provider working with kids that struggle in mainstream school.
Yeah,
Not a very inviting place. Most of it is like, it's got high metal fences to keep the kids in. Um, all of the doors work on a buzzer, so you can't walk freely between the classrooms and stuff. Very small classes, predominantly male, because
right,
males generally have behavioural issues,
right.
and whereas females generally will internalize it, whereas
Yeah,
males will outwardly project it. I would say 99% of the lads that I work with over the 12 years had an ADHD diagnosis. So invariably, I would get a teacher come up to me and go, "Oh, like little Johnny's not medicated today. Just warn you, he's bouncing off the walls. He's a nightmare." Do you know what I mean? Language like that.
wow.
Be with me 15, 20 minutes, they're sitting there as calm as a cucumber,
Yeah,
regulated, amazing conversation, no ticks, no bouncing, no nothing, just sat there, just communicating. So I'm like, how does that happen?
yeah,
Leave me 15 minutes later and they're like causing havoc, like, and I'm like, fear,
yeah,
don't feel safe.
yeah,
Look at the environment. The environment's set up to not feel safe.
yeah,
What message does it send you when you walk through the door? Well, you can't walk through the door because there's like 15-foot high metal fences to get in.
yeah,
Every door is locked with a buzzer. It's like a secure unit.
right.
It's for the kids' safety. Well, it doesn't feel very safe in here to me.
No,
Like, I don't feel safe in here. Like, so imagine how they feel. What message are you continually sending them? That they're too much for the system.
yes.
They're
So,
too much.
mm,
So what does that do to your nervous system?
yeah, it's going to be all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think, it's very, as you know, like, I'm an accredited ADHD coach. I've done I've done the training. This is very like skating on thin ice territory. This. Does ADHD exist? Absolutely. Does everyone that's been diagnosed with ADHD have ADHD? No, they don't.
No,
No, they don't. They have a disorganized fear in their system. Their nervous systems is trauma, basically.
yeah,
I would say, and I think I can say that because I'm a specialist. I've been studying trauma and working with trauma for like way over a decade. So, and the traits are virtually identical. I think if you have ADHD, you are predisposed to trauma anyway.
yeah,
But I think that if you can master your nervous system and integrate safety into your nervous system, your traits will either disappear or reduce significantly.
wow. I completely agree with everything you said.
Yeah,
And thank you for saying that because
yeah.
I hate labels anyway.
Me too. Me too.
And I think people will live by a label.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair.
No, and I think people use it as a disability, don't they? I can't do
Yeah,
that. I've got ADHD. That's my ADHD.
yes,
I'm like, what is your ADHD in that?
yeah,
What does this stop you doing?
yeah,
So maybe there are parameters to it, I have parameters, like I have an attention span of probably about 15 minutes where it comes to writing a report or academia, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think part of that is a trauma from school.
Yeah.
So I get help with it.
Yeah.
But I know that my, I guess, the upsides far outweigh, because I gear my world up to win.
I like that.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I set my environment up to win. Everything around me, I try and set it up to win.
Yeah.
My main focus every day is my nervous system.
I love that.
And then after that, it's mindset and goals.
Yeah.
But everything comes back to my nervous system multiple times a day. I try to be as mindful as I possibly can.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about meditation.
Yeah.
Meditating is great, but if you're only present, if you're only meditating or being aware of your, you know, how mindful you are for 10 minutes a day, it's not a lot of good, is it? It doesn't really help, does it?
Not really. No.
Like, you have to be, the more mindful you can become throughout the day, i.e., where am I at? Where's my nervous system at? You know, the more regulated you're going to be, the better choices you're going to make, the safer you're going to feel. You know, front thinking part to your brain is online more.
Yeah.
You're in fight or flight, you don't have access to that. You have brain fog, ADHD again.
Yeah.
Brain fog.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I become dysregulated, instantly I can feel it coming down over me like that. I can't think.
Yeah.
Can't, like, rationalize anything.
No, can't make a
Everything's too
decision, can't
much.
think.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Instantly overwhelmed.
Yeah. That's it. I just think, I mean, I know you work with people with ADHD, but I think you should be on a world stage somewhere, mate, because everybody, like I say, is overwhelmed with how the country is and how distracting everything is, how everything's instant gratification.
Yeah.
You know, how overwhelmed people are, how anxious they are. If you think about it, it's like COVID was bred like anxiety.
Well, it's fear. It was fear-based media, isn't it? What happens to your nervous system
Yeah.
when you are being told if you go outside, you're going to kill someone?
Yeah.
What
That
impact
5
does that
o'clock
have on your
bulletin
nervous
every
system?
day. Can you remember 5 o'clock every day, and they'd have that BBC like news come on, and it'd be like, this many people have died, this many people have got this, and we were fed months of that, and you still see people now scared of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I see people that where their world is just shrunk.
Yeah.
So fearful of anything, they become overwhelmed with anything outside of that bubble.
Yeah. So I do believe you should be standing on a world stage, like telling everybody about this.
Bless you.
Because it doesn't need to be like this. We're not wired to live like this.
And I think, like, you know, that is my mission, like, because of like how long it impacted me. Half a century, do you know what I mean, of my life was like that.
I like the fact as well that you've been there. You know, it's not like you've gone and got all these qualifications and you're absolutely all right. You've changed.
Yeah.
You know, you can stand there and say, because people will be able to resonate with somebody when they go, I've been that person.
Yeah.
And I've changed. So that's why you inspire me so much.
Thank you very much. And I think, like, addiction, a lot of addiction, sorry, I just wanted to, like, a lot of addiction comes into that top bracket, doesn't it, of overstimulation.
Yes.
You need to like numb it.
Yeah.
It's too much. Overwhelm.
Yeah.
So just numb.
Yes.
From my own challenges, it was the only time that I could stop my mind.
You hear a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It was like the only time, like, I got it down to a fine art of like self-medicating, like enough booze and enough coke just to get me at that sweet spot where everything just stopped.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and for me, like, it is sad, like, because I'm of an age where it's a generational thing.
Yes,
You know
massively,
what
mate.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was in an environment where all of my mates did it and it was acceptable.
Yes.
Like, we're hard-working men and that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It was like work hard, play hard generation.
Yeah,
It was like if you're stressed, you have a drink.
yeah,
Like that you're right, it's so much a generation thing.
yeah,
And I find it sad. I mean, obviously we've got the information now, and we've got people like you that are going around spreading like the message and what the work that you do. But it's sad that our generation didn't have that,
yeah,
because we could only do what we knew.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And but it's now you can show people a different way, and
yeah.
that's just it's like worth its weight in gold, mate.
Yeah, and I think that, the people that I see, I'm like, trust me, I've got
Yeah,
you back. This will work.
yeah,
Do you know,
I
like, we will get you, like, if I had a magic wand, what would you be happy with? Do you know what I mean? Like,
mm,
if within a week, I guarantee, like, within a week, like, you will notice a difference.
yeah,
There will be an element of, you will notice a change. You will notice some form of clarity. You will notice some form of calm.
yeah,
Like, it won't change overnight, but you will notice something shift.
yeah. I love
You know
that.
what I mean?
So if people want to know more about what you do and work with you, where can they find you?
The Real Me Therapy on
Yeah.
Instagram, on Facebook, and my website is therealmetherapy.com.
I love that. Last question. It's the hardest one of the night. Everybody hates it. Gary, tell me 3 good things about yourself.
I'm kind, very kind.
Wow. Yes.
Um, what else? 3 good things about me. Do you know what? I'm a great cook.
Oh, you're only down the road. I'll be round. What time
I
is
am a great cook.
it?
What else? Very accepting of others,
Yeah.
generous.
Oh, yeah, I think you are. You've had a lifetime of helping others. So I think you are definitely kind and definitely accepting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come and taste the cooking out to see if the second one's.
Great cook, mate, and I'm a great cook. Great cook. You don't get to the size of me, do you? By like not being able to cook.
I love that. I recommend anybody who's wanting to learn how to calm their central nervous system down, just drop Gary a message, give him a follow, and reach out to him, because I've personally seen the work that he does. So I highly recommend him.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate
So
it.
thank you so much.
You're welcome, my love. Thank you.